Okay, welcome to With Love. And I thank Doug for setting this up. And there's a lot to comment on. But what I want to do first is do a little dancing to kind of get the flow of energy. There's a mantra I use, which is the name of God is grace, but also creation, yoda, and in breath, and out breath. Wah, and in breath, and you just keep repeating it until your mind's quiet. Pretty simple. And when your mind's quiet, then you're in meditation, you let go of the mantra. So we'll just kind of meditate for a short time. Okay, first we start with a little bit of a dance. Okay, welcome everybody. So let's sit quietly just for a moment. Just get this up. There we go. So one of the things that's important when we begin to understand the longevity process is what positively affects it. And what we see, first of all, that generally older people are happier and have more wisdom just by the nature of that. Now, I'm talking about people who've kind of lived their lives with some consciousness, okay? But still, with age, that happens if you're at all awake and approaching it in a good way. So one of the other really important research in a lot of different ways is that positive belief systems improve you physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. So positive is just a way of thinking about yourself. It's not like, oh, I'm going to be very smart or I'm going to be doing this. It's kind of generally feeling positive about who you are as a person, who you are as a person contribute to the world, contribute to your family, contribute to yourself as an evolving spiritual being. That kind of awareness so that it elevates everything. And that's what's important. That's what's really important. And when you have a positive mind, you share like a simple strength, and I'm going to say a desire to do better for yourself. And I don't mean competitively, a desire to evolve in that way. Now, what we also find, and sometimes we think having too high expectations can actually make you do worse because you're trying too hard. But the research shows that when people have positive expectations, they do better. Okay? And they create positive health outcomes on every level. Okay? And one of the other ways of thinking about this is starting to redefine it. Well, no, this is aging, I'm losing myself. No. What we're talking about here is seeing that later in life is a new phase of life, a new challenge. Adolescence is a challenge, middle age is a challenge, childhood is a challenge, and this, we enter into it. Now, it's hard to say just when we're entering into it, but I'm going to say over 60, some people will say over 45. But whatever it is, we stay in it for a while. You know, it's actually a long phase of our life. And when you really view yourself as a positive, you're going to have more stability, you're going to have more wisdom, general growth expands, not just like you're growing muscle, but you can do that, of course. But growth in a more wisdom way. And if you view yourself as aging well, the research shows there's less heart disease and less decreased cognition, less chronic disease all over. And what we see is when you have a positive view of yourself, the degree of brain inflammation and body inflammation goes down. Now, inflammation is pretty important. It's the driving force, what a lot of people feel, behind Alzheimer's disease. So it's a driving force there. And so inflammation is something we really want to do, of course, for the whole body. People tend to get inflamed as they get a little bit of age. This is why we do fasting. We have a fasting retreat coming up at the end of May in the Dominican Republic. But fasting is a great way to decrease inflammation, a really good way to decrease inflammation. Now, that being said, it also, fasting, believe it or not, also helps reverse brain degeneration. But that's really interesting. Fasting for a week will increase your brain size by 1.5%. So it's pretty exciting. But the most important thing isn't the physical changes, which do happen, are a direct result of fasting and a direct result of a positive attitude. But what we see is people who have a positive view of their life actually live 7.4 years longer. Now think about that's huge. Okay? So there's a huge payoff. It could be that what we're saying is the mind is the most important thing in helping aging. So, for example, vegans, vegan women live 4.4 years longer, and vegan men live 7.2 years longer. Well, that's pretty good, 7.2. That's a lot. But we're talking about having a positive attitude, and you don't have to change your diet, is 7.4 years longer. So that's like one of the more exciting findings. It's like, this has been there. People have intuitively felt this is really, really true. And we see in cultures that honor aging, and we actually see in cultures that honor aging where the men are involved culturally, the men and women live the same length of time. It's in most of the cultures where men are not as included in the group culture that we see the men living less long. And what we're seeing is that 56% of the time that we age, we get worse. That's people's beliefs. Only 56% of the population actually believe that. That's not a whole lot. And what we also see is 45% of the population don't deteriorate with age. And 51% don't feel that there's cognitive decline. Now, these are extremely positive results. And I'm just happy to share that with people because it doesn't involve supplements, doesn't involve anything, but just changing your angle on your life, changing your attitude about your life. So I just want to stay with the point here that we really have the psycho-spiritual technology to live longer and happier and healthier. So this is just a little tip, a little, let's say, a little pointer of how we can do this without necessarily being involved in a whole lot of technology and anti-aging things, all those which are good, but this is really fundamental. So I bless everyone, that we are able to take a positive attitude about our life and about our life cycles and aging process, and really work at a maximum optimal level about this way of life. So peace be with you. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Vajagyasan. Oh. And I thank Doug for his good work behind the scenes. I made this shorter because I really want to make the point. And I don't want to get too many facts in the way. You got the broad sweep. And it's just think positive, live longer. Not that complicated. Okay, peace be with you.